Hey guys, so today you join me out on the beautiful Blue Ridge Parkway just outside of Asheville, North Carolina. We're here because Dodge is letting us spend some time behind the wheel of their very new compact crossover. This is the 2024 Dodge Hornet. It's a big deal for the company because this is also the first step for Dodge into the electrification era, because if you guys go for the RT trim, this only comes with a plug-in hybrid powertrain. So in today's video, we're gonna take you on a full tour of the Hornet. We're gonna show you the outside, the inside, show you guys under the hood, and also go into a little more detail with the tech on the inside. At the end of this video, we're gonna find out, is the 2024 Dodge Hornet RT a worthy addition to Dodge's muscle car lineup? Stay tuned to find out. So before we start talking about the exterior styling, because remember, this is an all-new model for Dodge, let me first show you guys what's underneath the hood. Now here in America, you can take your pick between either the GT, which has a turbo gas engine only. However, for those of you who are interested in getting into an electrified vehicle, the RT only comes as a plug-in hybrid. Now underneath this hood, this is the same powertrain that you're also going to find in the Alfa Romeo Tonale, because remember, the two vehicles are essentially the same. The RT version is arguably the more interesting model. This combines a 1.3 liter turbocharged direct injection 4-cylinder engine with a rear E-axle, so a rear electric motor. There's also another electric motor at the front, so technically it has two electric motors. The gas engine on its own delivers 175 horsepower and around 199 pound-feet of torque. If you guys add the power of the electric motor, you get a total of 288 horsepower and 383 pound-feet of torque. The electric motor has around 121 horsepower on its own. It all goes out through a 6-speed automatic transmission that's developed by Aisin, so it's technically a Japanese-built transmission. Some other vehicles from Hyundai and from Toyota also use this 6-speed automatic. The electric drivetrain is supplemented by a 15.5 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack. That's good for more than 30 miles of electric-only range. That's what Dodge tells us. It's still pending final EPA numbers. Same thing with the fuel economy. We don't have final fuel economy figures just yet for this engine, but I suspect it should do better versus the 21-29 that you get on the GT with its gas-only engine. You guys are also probably going to notice this vehicle has a 6-speed auto versus the gas engine has a 9-speed automatic in the GT trims. And just like in the GT, this model also comes standard with all-wheel drive. It's technically a different all-wheel drive system known as E-all-wheel drive because the electric motor is what supplies the rear axle with actual power. Dodge claims this model here, when you use the power shot feature, can get to 60 in 5.6 seconds, making this among the quickest in the segment, probably actually the quickest in the segment. It'll hit a top speed of around 128 miles an hour. It'll still tow a maximum of 2,000 pounds. And as this sits, the whole battery pack system and electric motor adds around 400 pounds of weight. It weighs in at just under 4,200 pounds. But let's go ahead and close up this hood, which, as you guys can see, it still has the functional heat extractors. This is a Dodge-specific hood, along with the entire front end of this vehicle. Obviously, as mentioned earlier, this is built on an Alfa Romeo platform, which is also technically a heavily modified version of the Jeep Compass platform. It has the corporate front face of Dodge, of course, with their logo here. You have functional vents that allow for air to pass through to provide some cooling. And then all Hornets will come standard with full LED headlights. These are the reflector style. You have LED low and high beams, LED daytime running light and turn signals. No LED fog lights, but you have some integrated parking sensors, and then the intelligent cruise control radar sensors all mounted at the front. This particular one here in red certainly has a styling design language that looks like it belongs within the Dodge family. It has kind of the same corporate styling cues from the Durango and perhaps the Charger. And overall, let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of the design. I think it's very good looking. It's a compact SUV, like I said earlier. However, it is the first time that Dodge is entering the compact SUV space. Now at 178 inches long, this is about 2 inches long or shorter versus a Mazda CX-5, but around 5 to 6 inches shorter versus most of the compact SUV segments. The wheels, you can see my tester has a track package that includes these massive 20-inch wheels wrapped in a 235/40 Michelin Pilot Sport 4 all-season tires. The track package also includes Brembo 4-piston brakes, which technically these are standard on GT. You get red painted calipers with the track package. These are 13.5-inch rotors. And then we also have adaptive variable suspension, which is included with this trim. They're Koni shocks, all independent suspension all around. And this model here, the RT, is actually lowered about 2 inches compared to the GT. So we have around 6.1 inches of ground clearance versus just under 8 on the GT trim. You can also tell this is an RT because the wheel archers and basically the cladding all around the lower part of the vehicle, this is painted in a gloss gray. If you look at the GT version, that's kind of just an unpainted gray look to the plastic cladding, which again, it looks really good with the red exterior color. This Hornet badge here, you can see also has, this model has the black top package, which blacks that out. It also blacks out the side mirrors with the integrated turn signals. And then my tester is also missing a sunroof. This is a very early pre-production spec car. The Plus trim that this one is includes typically a sunroof in addition to other upgrades. Now you can see around the side profile here, I'm getting a lot of Mazda, perhaps even Porsche or Maserati vibes here from the shape of the vehicle. Remember, this is an Alfa Romeo, so it is going to remind you of that from all different angles of the vehicle. Moving around the side profile, you can see the taillights and the rear remind you a lot of this of the Tonale, but you have the Dodge logo here, which is illuminated. That's nice. You have a completely all LED taillight with LED turn signals, LED reverse lights, and then the badging here is also blacked out, which is good. And then the RT version is the only trim to give you the dual outlet exhaust. If you look at a GT, the outlet exhaust is actually hidden underneath the bumper, but on the RT, it actually is exposed with the dual chrome tips, which makes it look nice. I also want to come over here to this side because this is where you're going to find the charge port door on this trim. Now, I said earlier it has a 15.5 kilowatt hour battery pack. It doesn't have the ability to DC fast charge, it just has your J1772 plug. Dodge is claiming more than 30 miles of range. It has an onboard charger of 7.4 kilowatts, which means it should take about 2.5 hours to charge this vehicle on a level 2, probably around 12 hours if you're going to charge it on a level 1. But again, on the driver's side rear, this is where you find the charge port. On the passenger side rear, that's where you're going to find the gas port door. Now, opening up the cargo area, the RT model does lose a little bit of cargo space compared to the gas version. You're looking at around 22 cubic feet of space. That's a reduction of around 5. Lift this up, you can see not quite as much underfloor storage. There's no spare. You just get a temporary, or you just get a fix-a-flat kit and an air compressor. And then if you fold down the rear seats, it'll expand the cargo capacity to just over 51 cubic feet. So let's go ahead and take a look at the interior of this 2024 Dodge Hornet RT. Before we do that, however, I want to show you guys the key fob. As you can see, this is a Dodge key. It doesn't have an Alfa Romeo key. It's actually technically their older fob. You can see it has the Dodge brand scripted on the back of the fob. It has your usual unlock, lock, remote start. You can also use the power liftgate and the panic feature. I was kind of hoping that Dodge would use a different key for this model, but again, Smart Key is pretty much included on this vehicle as standard equipment. And if you have your smartphone, you can also use the Uconnect 5 app to access the vehicle now. You can see the mirrors also have a power fold feature. You can set them to be on and off to power fold when you lock the vehicle. You can touch the back of the door handle, that'll unlock the car for you. And then my tester with the track package includes these Alcantara black leather seats. So you have kind of like the Alcantara in the center, you have the red contrasting stitching, you have the red in the actual Alcantara, which is nice. You have the Dodge logo in the actual head restraint. This is, as you can see, completely an Alpha interior, which is not a bad thing. An Alpha interior means it's a lot more premium than your typical compact crossover in the mainstream segment. You can see these seats are nicely aggressively bolstered. They adjust in like 14 different ways. It includes three-position memory, and these seats are also heated on this model. They're heated and ventilated when you guys go for a different trim, so kind of keep that in mind. The Alcantara is going to remove the actual cooling function. The door panel materials you can see are soft touch. There's this fake carbon fiber look plastic trim. There are some aluminum accents for the door handles and then padded area over here, which is nice. But again, the aluminum pedals are included when you go for the track package. Now, getting inside, you can see the door has a nice solid sounding thunk, and then this interior is very dark, but it's also very Alfa Romeo. So if you guys are thinking that Dodge, went with their own interior design, there are definitely some changes here compared to the Tonale, like the dashboard vents, which are different. But all of them are going to come standard with a 12.3-inch display there and a 10.25-inch display in the center stack. So regardless of the trim, it's going to be standard. You have soft touch injection molded plastic, which is nice, along with some silver or some red contrasting stitching along the dashboard. Now, the start-stop button is down here. Alfa Romeo typically puts it on the steering wheel. Instead, there's a drive mode button here. The steering wheel itself is taken directly from Alfa Romeo. When I start the vehicle up, you can see you have that screen that pops up, which looks very nice. The flat bottom wheel also looks really good. It's a tilt and telescoping wheel, which offers a good amount of adjustability and range, which is great. And then over here, you can see along the screen, this also includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which again is very, very nice to have. This is the Uconnect 5 system, which I really appreciate in this vehicle. I think it makes the tech just a lot nicer versus some of the other Dodge branded vehicles. Now, the one thing I also like about the RT is you have these massive paddle shifters, which are aluminum. This is only on the paddle or on the RT version. The GT sadly doesn't have the actual lights or the actual paddle shifters in aluminum, which is frustrating. The steering wheel itself is, I mentioned earlier, tilt and telescoping, so I can get comfortable and find a good driving position. The horn sounds good. It doesn't sound puny like in some compact crossovers. The instrument panel here you can see is a full 12.3-inch display, which is very nice. That's also customizable. And then this over here, like I said earlier, is also slightly customizable. That's with the CarPlay. This is what it looks like here. There's also a performance gauge display where you can go into the gauges here. You can show some technical gauges, some accessory gauges. You can also go into a My Car and it'll show you your drive mode explorer, so you can explore from 4 different drive modes here. You can also customize that, and it shows you an actual really good graphic of the car. When I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see there's the full 360 camera that's included on the Plus package. It includes trajectory, it includes parking sensors, it also has an automatic parallel parking function, which is nice. This vehicle also includes embedded GPS, which works fairly well, although most of you are going to be using the CarPlay function, which you can see it works well and it's really relatively quick and snappy. You have a wireless phone charging pad here. Your sport drive mode is here. That's how you access that. And then you can also change your e-drive modes from here, from basically hybrid, electric, and then an e-save mode, which is again going to allow you to save some of that battery power for later. This controls the 6-speed automatic. You have buttons here for your electronic stability control and your parking sensors and your electronic parking brake. Your volume control is right here, which is nice. And then you can see here cup holders. Some of the plastic here, I don't particularly love how cheap it feels. You can see it's actually a little scratch there. That's a nice padded center console. And it's also got some decent storage. The seats are also pretty comfortable and supportive. I also love the way they look. I just wish that you can get the red leather with the track package. This is your only option if you guys want the track package. Open up the glove box, you can see it's big, it's damped, and it's not lined with felt. There's a digital camera review mirror. There's some LED map lighting, and then my tester is missing the sunroof, which it's supposed to have. It's like a pano half sunroof, and then overall visibility in here is good. There's no heads-up display in this car, but it definitely has a much more premium vibe versus other Dodge vehicles. But let's go ahead and show you guys the back seat of this vehicle. The back seat, which Dodge doesn't have final numbers yet for the rear seat legroom, you can see is definitely on the smaller end. You have hard touch plastic materials back here, so they're not quite as nice. It's padded over here. At least the stitching kind of carries over with the Alcantara. I'd probably say there's around 32, 33 inches of legroom back here. For somebody my height, I can get in and sit in it pretty well. The seat actually is a lot higher than I expected. There's not a flat floor here. You get rear seat air vents, 2 USB ports, 2 storage cubbies, no heated rear seats, but you do have an armrest here that folds down, and there's a decent amount of headroom. So overall, the back seat is fine for average size adults like me, but if you need more space for your taller friends, someone over 6 feet might find this to be a little bit on the cramped side. So unlike the Hornet that you remember back from the mid-70s, this all-new 2024 Hornet is not like that vehicle at all. In typical fashion with so many other buyers around the world, this is now a compact crossover, which is technically a space that Dodge has never played in. You could technically say that the Caliber was a compact SUV, but it was more of a compact car. And honestly, after seeing this new RT version, looking at all the tech, looking at the interior, looking at the design, looking at the specs of that 1.3-liter turbo with the electric motor and the 15.5 kilowatt-hour battery pack, it has the specs that really allow it to kind of play between the lines of the compact and mainstream segment. Dodge claims this is the most performance-oriented SUV in the segment. They also claim it's the quickest, and with over 30 miles of electric-only range, it should provide enough range for those of you who plan to just drive this around town for your local commute to and from work. And then of course, when you need to go on those longer trips, the gas engine is going to kick in to give you even more range. Sadly, I don't have final EPA figures just yet for the fuel economy, and we also aren't driving this vehicle, as you guys see. If you guys want to see the driving impressions, there's another video that we'll be posting on March 22nd at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That will basically be on the GT version, focusing on the outside, but also we'll kind of throw in a driving impression of this RT model so we can talk about how the plug-in hybrid drives. I can, however, talk about the pricing because this car starts at just under 30 grand for the GT version. The plug-in hybrid, however, is going to cost you at least $41,500. So it's about $10,000 more versus the GT. Sadly, if you guys plan to buy this vehicle, it doesn't qualify for the $7,500 federal tax credit because it is built in Italy. Remember, this is an Alfa Romeo. However, Dodge tells us that there is technically a loophole. If you plan to lease this vehicle, that does not apply, or the final assembly location doesn't apply to lease vehicles. So theoretically, you could have the $7,500 passed on to you in the lease payment because that credit is applied to the leasing company, which it's their discretion to kind of pass that savings along to you as the consumer. So this model here with the track package, with the plus package, with the black top package, with the tech package comes in at just over $52,000, which I know is a lot of money. However, as you guys can see on the outside, on the inside, it definitely feels a lot more upscale and sporty and interesting versus a lot of its other mainstream rivals. And it'll be interesting to see how this vehicle does when the GT or the RT version goes on sale in the late spring / early summer. With all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my pretty detailed tour on the 2024 Dodge Hornet RT, the plug-in hybrid. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.